Hello, everybody. Just wait a couple more minutes for a few others to join, and then we can get started. Okay. Okay, we might get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So today's webinar, we'll be taking an in-depth look at some reports, a few housekeepings before we get started. So today's webinar, it will be recorded and you will receive a copy a link to a copy at the end. Everyone is in listening mode. So if you do have a question, please use the chat or the Q&A. I might just get you guys to check the chat to see if it is working, because we have had some issues with it previously. So if everybody could just type in there your name, where you're listening from, where you're joining us from, just to check that our chat is working. We've got the Q&A that you can use there as well. Okay, and at the end, we will have some time to answer your questions. Okay, so just going to introduce you to ourselves. So today you've got Neil. He is one of our training specialists here at Dental Software, so he'll be running through the demonstration with you today. You've got myself, which I probably met some of you last time, and Linda as well. Okay, so a few things in what we'll cover over today's webinar. We'll take a look at some commonly run reports. We'll take a look at your appointment book reports. We'll have a look at Satora, which is a practice analytics product, and Linda will cover more information on that. And we'll also have a look at practice insights. So I will hand it over now to Neil at this point, who will run through today's demonstration with you all. Thank you, Neil.
No problem. Hello, everyone. Just want to see you can see my screen with the appointment book.
We can, yes, Neil. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about first some commonly run reports, and some of these are also end of day reports that you can run. So all of these reports are found under management and reports. The first one I'm going to talk about is the accounts, invoices and receipts over period report. It's up to you whether you run this daily, weekly or monthly. This will calculate the total number of or total amount of invoices raised for the period selected, and also receipts received, payments received. So when you run this report, obviously you have your date range you can select from. If we're going to do this month, we choose month to date. You can break it down by provider. It does separate by provider when you run the report, but you can separate the report by each provider at a time. We can also choose how you sort. Date is the most common. And then we have some options here where you can use commissions. If you have commissions set up, this can calculate the commission amount owed to the providers. And if you need help with that, by all means, get in contact with us and we can help you set that up. We can also show inactive providers as well. So if a provider has left the practice within this period, they'll be included in the report. you may not always see specified locations. That's only applicable in a multi-location environment. Once we run this will give a breakdown of all the invoices and receipts generated. So if I scroll across, you will see it's got a list of all the payments, and at the very end, there is a grand total. The invoices here and the receipts will likely never match. And that's because there may be cases where an invoice was raised in this period, but a payment hasn't been received yet, CDBS, for example, or vice versa. The invoice was created in the previous period, but the payment has been received in this period. If we run this report again, but we choose show totals only, this is going to show it with the totals and not break it up per patient. So if you're interested in the totals, that's what it will give you. The next report is the total receipts report. This is a report of all payments that have been received. There are two reports you can select from: total receipts or total receipts with providers. Difference between the two is total receipts is a consolidated report. So it's one report of all receipts created for the entire practice. Whereas total receipts with providers will separate it per provider. You can also run this report for individual providers. And again, we can select the date range. And again, if we click show totals only, that will show the totals. So at the very end, we have the grand totals of the different payment methods. And again, if we show totals only, it'll show this only and not all of these other pages. So the next report is unprinted invoices. This is basically a report of all items in the treatment tab that have not been invoiced. Excuse me. And this is a snapshot. So this report shows all unprinted invoices as of today. And again, you can break it down per provider. So what this is telling you is each of these patients has items in the treatment that have not been invoiced. So they're still yellow and white. So you can then go back and investigate why has an invoice not been raised for those item numbers. We then have unallocated deposits report. This report is all receipts that have been created as a deposit and has not been applied to an invoice. So the patient has an outstanding credit. So this will show patients who have an outstanding credit. Okay, and the last report I'm going to mention in the commonly run reports is the items performed over a period report. This will tell you what items have been performed and how frequently. So if I chose month to date, you can see it's showing me here the items that have been performed on the patients. There's also some reports we can run on the appointment book. And again, I'm going to cover the most commonly run reports. So if we click on a slot, any slot, In the menu, we come down to print, and this is where you'll find all your reports. So the first one I'm going to start with is the status report. So as you most likely know, when you create an appointment, you can add a status letter. One of the most common letters would be used would be L for lab work needed, for example. Again, you can run this report for any time period that you like. So what this will do, this will return a report of all appointments with that status letter. And you can choose whatever status letter you like here. Next one is the appointment class report. So the appointment class is where you can color code your appointment. So again, we go into print and we come down to appointment class report. And this is where we can select from the classes. And again, you can select your date range. And I haven't chosen a class that's being used. But again, this will give you a report of all appointments with that class. The advantage of that is you can then separate what appointment is what type of procedure. So you can see you can have an appointment as red for extraction, green for root canal, etc. And you can run reports on that. The next report is planned production. This report will give you a rundown of what's your expected revenue for appointments on that particular period. So if we did that today, it'll give us this. Now, at the moment, everything is 0. The reason for that, for this report to contain data, the appointment does need to be linked to a treatment plan. And if you need any guidance with the treatment planning, again, let us know. And we'll talk about later on about e-support, where you can actually set up your treatment plan, where you can link visits to appointments. And that will help you plan production report. Next one is the work time analysis. So this report will give you a rundown of basically your books. So you can see here, it's telling us what each doctor has in planned time. So open book, unused, white space, and what percentage or what time is taken up by appointments and by breaks. So it gives you a rundown of basically the breakup of your day. And the next one is appointment time. With this report, this relies on your arrive, checked in, checked out feature being used. Because what this will tell you is this will tell you when it was arrived, checked in and checked out. And we'll also tell you down here, percentage of appointments that were late, so the patient was late, or where the patient was not seen on time, so the checked in was after the appointment time. So you can see this is giving you a breakdown of all that based on the arrived, checked in, checked out feature. There are a lot more reports that you can run, and you will find more information on those on our e-support. I'm just running through the most commonly run ones today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass to Linda, who's going to do a little talk about Satora.
Thank you, Neil. I'll take on that baton and I'll just get my screen up for you. Great. So now that was very interesting on showing those common reports that Neil has just shown us. And I'm just going to now just going to dangle a bit of a carrot in front of you, just to introduce you to a new product that we have, and it's called Satora. So what is Satora? Satora is a data analytics for dental businesses. So it's actually looking at your data and analyzing it. How this has come about is through a fusion with our expertise in Centaur in our practice management side. So know how the dental practice management, knowing our expertise, we then have fusioned together and got the innovation from Cubico, a leading provider of data analytics for the medical. So they're now coming into dental and they're using that expertise for us to create a product that can analyze data that we can take that information from your Dental4Windows. So how does Satora empower dental practices? So by getting this data, these are the things that you can look at. You can make informed decisions to drive your business growth. So that's what we all want. You know, our main aim is obviously look after our dental patients' health, dental health. But at the end of the day, we also like to make some money and make our practice grow and, you know, give our expertise of our dental experience to everybody. So with getting data, we can actually see how we're doing that. Then we can also optimize our practice operations and effectively allocate resources. So we can always think in our mind, oh, gee, we really need to put a lot of resources into this particular part of the practice. But when you start looking at the data, you might say, actually, we actually may need to put the resources somewhere else. So it's us extracting that data and getting you guys to see how is this working, this data for you. We also too can strategy set goals. So you can actually set a goal that you guys can achieve. So you can, you know, realistic, you can sort of look at the past and say, okay, well, this is what we achieved. Do you think we could achieve it a little bit more? And set those goals so that you are trying to reach the maximum of your practice, getting the full benefit of your practice, and obviously, you know, getting that growth that you need. It also gives you the ability to also untapped opportunities. Maybe there's areas that you guys aren't, you know, following up where there could be potential revenue. So you might, once again, a lot of times we feel like, oh, we don't think this is doing quite well. But what we're actually doing is actually trying to, with the data, we can instruct that for you. And we hope by actually having a tutorial, which we hope you sort of embraces your whole team, it will actually foster that culture of actually continually wanting to improve. So by looking at the data and say, oh, gee, we can really improve in this area, or we can grow. So it's just taking the data from Dental4Windows and looking at it differently to how it can help with the growth of your practice. Now that I've just dangled the carrot for you, if you want to know a little bit more and get in a little bit more detail, then if you want to just scan the code, or if you want to call the 1300 or 1300 855 966, we'll endeavour to can give you more information and line up maybe a demo for you to go in a little bit more detail and see if this is something that you would like to do that one step more than just the reports in Dental4Windows. And on that note, I'm going to happily hand back the baton to Neil, who will now continue on with the practice insights for you.
Thank you, Linda. So Dental4Web contains a reporting function called Practice Insights. What I'd like to do, first of all, if you can just comment in the chat if you've used the Insights function at all. Okay.
We've got a couple of no's.
Got a couple of no's there. Okay. So I'm just going to show you today what Insights looks like. And what we're going to do, starting from next month, 26th of June, we're going to run webinars focusing on Insights and the different dashboards. There are a few things that need to be set up in your system in security to be able to access Insights correctly. What we do is we go to Management and we come down to Insights. And this is what you will see. Okay. So down the left-hand side, we've got a series of dashboards. In our upcoming webinars, we're going to go further in depth into those dashboards and where they collect data from. But essentially, you can see here on the overview dashboard, you can see your inactive versus active patients, active patients who have made a future appointment, and also your white space and your treatment plan analysis. And if you want to have a training session on Insights, we can certainly arrange that. So with Dental4Web, you also have eSupport, which you can access by clicking on the hamburger menu, and under Support and Learning, we have eSupport. So the reason I'm showing you that at the moment is there is a section in here on Practice Insights, which talks about each different dashboard and where and how it collects data. But as I said, we will go through those in upcoming webinars if anybody's interested in signing up to those. Okay. And with that, I shall hand back to Karina.
Thanks, Neil. I'm just going to go back and share the screen again. Okay, so at this point, we will be taking your questions. So do we have any questions at all? Hope you found, some of those reports that we've covered useful. What are the commonly used end of day reports? Commonly used end of day reports and end of month reports. Thanks, Renee. So two that I can think of off the top of my head, we've got the total receipts report, which will take a look at your daily takings for the day and the methods of payment, so cash, FBOS, and your high caps, which you can use to reconcile with your high caps settlement receipt. And end of month report, we're probably talking about the accounting invoices and receipts over a period. Now, did you want to go through a little bit on those?
Yeah, so the accounting invoices and receipts report is commonly run at end of month as well as daily. And as I mentioned, that can be used to calculate commission to providers. And you would also do the unallocated deposits, so you can keep a track of those every month as well.
Nicole has a question. Can I please ask if you can pull up a report on the diagnosis of treatment plans made by individual dentists and oral health therapists? Okay, so you want to have a look at the treatment plans. Incomplete or and the acceptance percentage. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Niels.
So there's a couple of reports you can do that. Number one, you will find that information in Insights. But in the reports, we do have some some reports for that. So we have treatment plan acceptance, which is basically a report of plans created and have been accepted. And also plan completion, which is plans where it's been completed. What they look at is the treatment plan status. So if we go into treatment plan, the treatment plan has a status. When this treatment plan is linked to an appointment, as I mentioned before, this status will become accepted. That will then count in the accepted treatment plans. Once every item is moved over to treatment, it will be marked as completed, and therefore the treatment plan completed will appear in that report. One thing to be very wary of with treatment plan reporting is to make sure that any incomplete treatment plan is not marked as active. If a treatment plan is marked as active, it'll appear in the treatment plan as being incomplete. Most common for that is where there's two treatment plans for the one condition. So you might offer a root canal and you might offer an extraction for the patient to select one of those. So Renee's just asked, would the total receipts for providers be best to report to calculate provider pays? It all comes down to how you calculate when you pay the provider. Do you pay the provider on invoices raised or when you receive the payment? So it really comes down to that as to, okay, so when you receive the payment, you can either do that one, or if you have commissions set up, there is a report you can run for that. So if I go back into reports, we have a commission on payments received. Commission details on receipts. So that one will give you a breakdown of your providers and will also calculate the commission based on the provider record. So in your provider record, we have here commission, which is where you can say how much commission is payable to the provider from that payment or invoice. You can also set up cost for providers, which can deduct expenses from that as well. And there are already articles in eSupport to explain how to set that up fully. So Nicole has asked, should we make a new treatment plan for different phases? So it really comes down to whether it's the one treatment plan. So phases are best used in the case where you might have a procedure where you need to do a root canal, then you need to do a crown. So you'd have the one treatment plan set up, but what you would do is you would set up different phases. So in the treatment plan, we have phase, order phase, and order visit. That's where you can set that up. So you could say the root canal is phase 1, which can be broken up into multiple visits. So you can have phase 1, visit 1, phase 1, visit 2, phase 1, visit 3, then the crown will be phase 2. That's probably the best one to do because it's the one treatment. You're saying this is the plan. The only time you should create different treatment plans is if they're different plans. I hope that's answered your question, Nicole. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, so Nicole's just asked, does the new patient report show FTA? If it's a new patient and they fail to attend, then it won't be included. The reason being is the first seen date, which is what the new patient report looks at, is based on the first item entered into treatment. So if the patient fails to attend their first appointment, they will not appear in that report because they haven't had treatment done. Depending on how you mark the appointment as failed to attend, an item may appear in treatment, but that should be set up as a non-treatment item, which means it won't be counted as the first seen date.
Okay, fantastic. Any other questions? Renee said, how could we get them to appear?
I'm not sure what you mean there.
No.
Probably, sorry, Renee.
I think she wants to see if they appear in the FTA report, even if they're a new patient. She wants to still see that
Yes.
they've come
Okay.
in. Yeah.
I see
Okay.
that there.
The only way you could do that really would be by using the status report, because new patients are marked with the N status in the appointment. So you could run that with the N status for that. Or not recommended, but you could change the patient's first seen date, which would then have them appear. Which is that date there, which is picked up from the first treatment item, as I mentioned. So Nicole's just asked, with insights, can we just set up to show each dentist individually? You absolutely can. So as part of our next webinar, we will talk about setting up what's called supergroups. And supergroups does exactly that. It also doubles up for reporting, which means you can tell it a provider can only see their reports. They can't see anybody else's reports. But you can also set it up that someone like a practice manager can see everybody's reports. So that doesn't change how they access their reports. All it means is that when they run the report, they can only select their own provider. They can't see anybody else's records. No problem at all.
Got a couple more questions coming through.
Okay, so Renee just asked, with new patient reports, can you see who attended? So again, that would be the status report. However, in the appointment book, there is a different status report. So if we go into print and reports, we have status report non-financial. So with this report, we can look at attended and also new patients. So this report will look at appointments that have both of those statuses. The new patients report will technically be patients who attended their appointment because they have the first seen date, which means they've got treatment in their treatment. They've got items in their treatment tab. So the KPIs, Nicole just asked about the KPI targets. With insights, it's more just a calculation of what your system currently is. So it will tell you this is how you're performing. There's no such targets as such.
They may be more interested in Satora, where we can set targets and goals for different metrics. Yeah. Yes, we can set goals.
So Satora may be a good option for you, Renee. So Nicole's asked, can you set up a dashboard instead of pulling info so it can be done daily review of the statistics? So essentially that's what Insights does. So when you look at the overview, it's a snapshot of as of today. Sorry, Nicole, I'm not sure what you mean by skipping the middleman. Maybe that's Satora again.
Yeah, Satora, I think for this one would work because we can set up dashboards where you have just set data set up in any time frame, and we've got set dashboards or what we call cabinets already available, but you can actually set up individual dashboards so that you can actually put in the information that you would probably like to see on a daily basis. So it'll just bring that information up rather than you having to run all these reports. We could set it up so that you could just go in and actually see what you particularly want to see on a whatever sort of setup that you like with the matrix that we have.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations, Nicole.
Yes.
And Linda will be able to help you with that one as well.
Yes. Because Satora is going to be web-based, or like your Dental4 Windows web-based, you are able to log in, and you can log in anywhere, and you can be, while baby's having quick sleep, you want to quickly have a look at the figures, you certainly can log in and have a look at it. Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? What I'd like for now, if you can just tell me if you'll be interested in a one-on-one session on Insights. Perfect, Renee. Perfect, Nicole. We can certainly arrange a time to go through that. Oh, perfect. Okay. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a webinar on the 26th of June on Insights dashboard of the overview. And then we'll be doing future webinars where we'll delve further into other analytics.
Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us today. So just a few resources before we leave you. We've as Neil has shown you, we've got eSupport. He's shown you where to access eSupport. You can scan that QR code there, which will take you there or as well. You can email us, our support team, if you have any questions. And also we have our website where you will see in the blogs section all of our past webinars that we've held and run. So if you missed any, you can catch up on past webinars.
The other question I'd just like to ask, just like to say, if you can just tell me if you've used the Learning Center.
No. Renee's attempted to set it up today.
Okay. So Renee, when you attempted to set it up, did you register and you're just waiting for confirmation?
Can I just make a note as well, when you are registering for the Learning Centre, to use a personal email address. That way you can track your own progress and you don't have everyone else jumping in there, in the middle of what you're watching and what you're up to.
So Renee, you changed your password, but after you changed your password, you couldn't log back in?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get that looked into for you. If you can email me, Renee, and let me know what usernames, and we can then get that fixed for you. Okay, so for anyone who's interested, the Learning Centre, I will just share my screen again.
Mm-hmm.
The Learning Centre you can access again from your hamburger menu. And under Support and Learning, we have Learning
So
Centre.
Neil, can't see your screen if you wanted to
Sorry.
try share again.
There we go.
There you go.
So under the hamburger menu, we have the Learning Centre. So there are 4 courses you can do in the Learning Centre. And these courses range from Introduction, Front Desk and Clinical. We've got Front Desk, Clinical and Administrator. To register, we just go to Login and we go Sign Up. Sorry, my internet's decided to go a bit slow, has it? There we go. Sign up, fill in the form, and then you'll receive an email with a confirmation with a password. And again, Renee, if you can let me know which usernames, and we can reset those passwords for you. Great. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, on that note, I'll wrap things up. Again, thank you everybody for taking the time out of your day to join us in today's webinar, and we will see some of you tomorrow, some of you next month. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.